Yesterday in my talk, I talked about the need for HR to become spiritual. I have been arguing that besides administrative roles, technology roles, information roles, training and development roles, knowledge sharing roles, etc., multiple roles which HR performs, they should also perform a spiritual role. I think it is going to become increasingly important. Spiritual is dealing with the spirit. It is not religious. I'm not talking of religion at all. In the beginning itself, in 1974-75, when we started the HR department, Human Resource Development Department, and the HR function, we talked of three things: competence building, commitment building, and culture building. Competence included knowledge, skills, attitudes, values, motivations, etc. But commitment meant enjoying the job. That was the whole purpose. Doing the job with perfection, giving your 100% in whatever you do. How does this come? How does this commitment come? I think this is a value. And it also depends on the purpose. If you are aware of the purpose for which people are working, you are working in a corporation, it helps you to do whatever you do with commitment, fully giving yourself, not thinking of anything else. At one point of time, Swami Vivekananda said, take up one idea, make that idea your life, think of it, dream it, live on that, and let everything you do, your brain, your muscles, your nerves, every part of your body be filled with that idea, and leave every other idea, and this is the way to success. So what I mean, therefore, becoming spiritual is getting people to involve their heart. We involve largely the brain. We also involve mind, involving the hands and other things. When you put the brain, mind and hands together, it becomes skill. Whereas if you work with heart, it becomes the spirit. You have put that spirit. If you look at people like Dr. Abdul Kalam, I was reading a very interesting book written by Dr. Abdul Kalam on transcendence, his encounters with Pramukh Swami Maharaj. In one of the narrations, he mentions that after his president term was getting over as 11th president, he had an opportunity to go for a second term. So he talked to Pramukh Swami Maharaj and asked them, what do you think? Do you think I should go for second term? Because there are people who are asking me to go for second term. And Pramukh Swami Maharaj apparently said that you are a teacher. You are teaching a whole lot of people. And to continue your mission, whatever you are doing, it is no more. You have already transcended whatever you are doing, being associated with the position. So you probably need to focus more on passing on the message, whatever you have, irrespective of the position that you hold. I think, to me, this is spiritual. You become spiritual when you are committed to a cause. In a way, in my book on managers who make a difference, when I talked of the four categories of people, the doers or syllabus followers or KRA followers or job description followers, the achievers who always try to do better than what they have done before or better than somebody else, the missionaries and visionaries. The last two categories, both the visionaries and missionaries, are the ones who are spiritual, in the sense they work with spirit. They are filled with whatever they are doing. sometimes when I think of my own life, for me, HR has become a spiritual kind of a thing because it is always in my spirit. If I look at my own life from the year 1974, why 1974, even earlier, I've been quite focused on humanity, human resources, without mentioning the name. HRD, I think the moment we coined this term HRD, I stuck on to this because I believed in HR as a philosophy. First, I worked with Larsen & Toubro, then Bharat Earth Movers, then State Bank of India, and large number of other organizations in corporate sector. But many of you don't know that I was simultaneously working with the medical profession in Uttar Pradesh, and along with Ravi Mathai, education profession, and for rural development, whole lot of other agencies. And the most memorable work I have had is with NGOs like the ICM Sisters and a whole lot of others. And that is how, when the academy started, Academy of HR, we had a project on a very interesting kind of a project on self-renewal of NGOs, because we thought the term OD is not accepted by some of the NGOs. So we introduced this term called self-renewal, which is nothing but OD and so on. So to me, I think I was eating, living and breathing in a way HRD. So that is what is to me spiritual. If those of you know, I have written this book, HRD Missionary. HR people should be missionaries. Now to me that is spiritual. Similarly, when I talked of the managers who make a difference, visionaries and missionaries is a missionary. And in effective people, I coined the term effective person is one who constantly looks at his or her own talent, constantly is discovering the talent, multiplying it, expanding it, and using it to make a difference in the lives of others. To me, this is spiritual. So, spiritual is working on the spirit. And yesterday, we had this wonderful conference on Leadership 2030 at Pramukh Swami Maharaj Centenary Celebrations, Pramukh Swami Maharaj Centenary Township, attended by almost about 1,500 people. And two of the Swamis who talked about their own sanstha, talked about, the way with almost 80,000 volunteers working for several months, and particularly this particular month, when every day they have 2.5 to 4.5 lakhs of visitors coming township, which is spread over 600 acres of land, and without any money being put by the sanstha. It is all voluntary. In fact, one of the Swamis said, we don't touch money, we don't deal with money, we don't go anywhere near money, everything is service. And then he said, all NGOs are run on HR. NGOs are personifications of HR. That was a wonderful thing that he talked of. So, everyone who deals with people, I think, has got to be looking at human beings as people with phenomenal potential. In fact, when we started National HRD Network, if you go through the preamble of National HRD Network, we said that every person is born with potential. Everyone is a potential leader. We didn't use the term leader at the time. Everyone is born with tremendous potential. And we need an environment to help people to discover this potential. And HRD, therefore, aims at creating that kind of an environment in organizations as well as in a nation. We also defined HRD in a nation and saying that the purpose of National HRD Network is to facilitate and create a climate through HRD movement where people can constantly learn, look inward, draw themselves out, apply themselves, multiply their talent and things of that kind. Now to me, this is very much of a spiritual kind of a thing. Yesterday when we talked of leadership, we talked of leadership capital. Leadership capital is invisible. All the other capital is visible. Everything, money is visible, materials are visible, most tasks and targets that our corporations give are invisible kind of things. But the leadership capital is the capital coming out of learning. What is your attitude to learn? How much do you learn? From how many sources do you learn? It is an attitude. You build that capital, because if you become learning oriented, every moment is exciting and every moment you are learning. When you meet a person, you are learning. When you see an event, you are learning. When you watch a TV, you are learning. When you read a book, you are learning. When you see the newspaper, you are learning. So learning capital is very much a part of the leadership capital. And I've also been saying, there is leadership competence in everyone. Everyone is born leader. I believe this. Everyone is born leader. Yesterday, Rajiv Dubey, when he was talking in the conference, he said that anyone who impacts even one person can be called as a leader. I think, remember, as children, we have all impacted our mothers. So we are already leaders, we are born leaders. Because every mother is known for saying the child, this is something unique about him or her. I look at this boy or look at this girl, what a wonderful thing he is doing, he is learning. So we impact, we start by impacting. But I think this impacting, noticeable impact which we make on our parents and later in the school over a period of time gets suppressed even without our knowledge. I think therefore leadership is bringing out whatever is suppressed. We have talent. See the amazing things some people with different abilities, special abilities have been able to accomplish when they are deprived of some of the other senses, like maybe sight or hearing or anything of that kind. I think they were able to accomplish wonderful things. That's why I say leadership is an inborn kind of a talent, and therefore HRD's purpose is to build leaders. Continuous learning helps in. Then values, ethics and values are very important. It is values. Once these values are inculcated in you, then you start getting driven by these values. Same way, you acquire motivation. Social motives, particularly if you follow Maslow's need hierarchy, social motives are acquired. Need for achievement, need for extension, which Uday Parikh talked about. All these are acquired. So when you help people to acquire new motives and work for a larger cause, a service motive, it is, I think, working on the spiritual part of it. I therefore strongly believe that HRD's job is to help people to smile, like what others have said, create happiness, and through that commitment. So when any employee comes to you as a HR person, we often try to look at the person and his or her problems as the problems of that particular individual. In fact, we start seeing the individual as problematic. I think that is wrong. When anyone comes to us for help as an HR manager, we should see the human being first in him or her and try to understand the problem and try to find a solution for him rather than simply showing a rule book. I'm not saying you have to change rules. Rules are only ways. Organizations are only some ways in which you help the person to be happy. But there are many things outside the organization you can do that. So that is what I mean by spiritual. If you are spending 8 hours of your work life in an organization, you are still having 16 hours left. If you can't help people to be happy when you are in the organization, can you do that outside? But even in the organization, if 2 hours you spend in carrying out KRAs, is it possible for you to spend the rest of the time? I think all the work we do, the productive work we do, KRAs we follow can be reduced to maybe a couple of hours, 4 hours. Okay, you work 4 hours to follow the rules, regulations, etc. Can you rest of the time try to help people to find solutions to issues and so on? In other words, all that I am saying is organizational life offers tremendous opportunity for us to provoke the spirit in us and help people to be happy and smile. That means whenever there is an issue, we should look at that to solve problem and see ourselves as problem solvers rather than problem avoiders. I think that is what is the way to build leadership capital. I'll talk more about this in future. I think this should be good enough. Thank you for listening to this.